Monday, November 4th. Gary Bettman is at it again. We've got two games in the NHL to cover. Let's talk some hockey. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Just a Bet Outside. My name is Karan Thakur, and we've got a fun little two-game slate to talk about today. And yeah, it looks like Mr. Bettman is back at it. I'm not sure what's going on with the scheduling here, but it looks like we've got a much heavier Sunday slate compared to Monday, which is strange to see. I know in the years past, I'm always used to, seeing heavier schedules in the weekdays, especially on Monday, and we kind of see lighter Sundays. But hey, whatever works. It looks like they're trying to do this Amazon Monday night thing with standalone games, kind of like football, to kind of put spotlights on good teams and big games. So let's see how she goes. But yeah, we've got the LA Kings traveling to Nashville to take on the Predators, and the New Jersey Devils are in Edmonton to take on the Oilers. But before we get into the bets and the breakdown for today, as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on this video. Your support goes a long, long way in continuing to help this community grow. And speaking of community, if you haven't already, don't forget to hop into that Discord in the description below. I put my daily plays in the Discord, and there's a bunch of sharp people in there who I like to tell their plays. So yeah, just an overall great community, good vibes. We're always sharing plays and kind of trying to make money together, so hop in there if you haven't already. And with that out of the way, let's do a quick bet recap. So yesterday we went 3-3, and just before we get into the bet recap here, a quick reminder for those of you that are new to the channel. We do post our daily NHL bets in the Discord in the NHL bets section, and they're also posted in the YouTube community tab. Just for those days that we don't post an NHL video, you can find those daily plays in those two places. But yeah, a quick recap on how we did yesterday. So we went 3-3, about a break-even day. And let's talk about the winners first. So we had a shot parlay of the Toronto boys. We had William Nylander, John Tavares, and Matthew Knies to each record 2 shots on goal at -110 for half a unit. So yeah, Tavares had his shots nice and early in the game. Going into the third, Knies and Nylander needed to come through for us, and the game script worked out pretty well, where I think Nylander had like 0 shots going into the third, and Knies only had 1. But Nylander ended up with like 4 shots. He went absolutely crazy in the third period, and Knies ended up getting his second as well. So that was a nice little half-unit hit at -110 on the shots parlay. And then the Vegas-Utah over 5.5, we played that for 1 unit. It hit at -165, so yeah, we did lay a little bit of juice there, but pretty sweat-free. The game ended up finishing 4-3 for Vegas. Nothing to complain about there. And then the parlay of Leafs team total over 1.5, Vegas team total over 2.5, and the Colorado-Nashville Predators game to go over alt total of over 4.5. That also came through for us at half a unit, -119. The Leafs had 1 goal going into the third period, but they put up 37 shots on net, so that second goal finally came through for us in the third period. And Vegas was actually getting shut out halfway through the game by Utah, but again, they were peppering shots at Utah. The Knights can score goals really, really quickly, so they ended up putting up 4. No issues there. And then the alternate total for the over 4.5 in that game for the Avs and the Predators was pretty sweat-free as well. It ended up finishing with 7 goals. So that parlay came through for us for the 3 winners. And for the 3 losses, we had Chris Tanev over 2.5 blocks. And the reason I like this play was because Tanev had been hitting this number all year before he finally went under 2 games ago. So I like this as a bounce-back spot for him, with the logic being that the Leafs would take the lead early in the game with Craig Berube going back to St. Louis. And goaltender Joseph Woll is also from St. Louis. That's why he got that start. So yeah, I was thinking, the Leafs get up nice and early, and then the Blues try to, claw their way back into the game. And as they try to do so, I was expecting St. Louis to pepper shots at the Leafs, which would have resulted in, Chris Tanev getting a few blocks. But surprisingly enough, or maybe it shouldn't be too surprising considering it's been 57 years since they won a cup, the Leafs fell behind, and then the game script went in the opposite direction. So Tanev had 1 shot blocked, I think, going into the third period, And after that, I didn't even bother tracking it because it was just a bad read on my end. So we'll take the L on that 1 unit play. And then we had a shot parlay of Mr. Tage Thompson, Clayton Keller, Pavel Dorofeyev, and Dylan Larkin to each record 2 shots on goal. And Larkin and Dorofeyev did the job for us, but surprisingly, Tage and Keller, they both hooked us on 1 shot each. Keller didn't even get a shot until I think it was extra time, and Tage had one pretty early in the third period, so I thought he would definitely get his over. But yeah, this is the first game all year that Clayton Keller has had 2 shots, or he's had less than 2 shots. All year he's been hitting 2 and 3, so that sucked. But I think that might have been a little bit of the Jack Eichel effect. So something to keep in mind going forward for these shot plays. We had that for 3/4 of a unit. And then a shot parlay of Brandon Saad and Jordan Kyrou to record 2 shots on goal each. And this one kind of bugged me a little bit because Saad had also been hitting 2 shots for most of the year. I think he had like an 80% hit rate, and he hooked us on one. Kyrou had like 4 or 5 shots in the game, so that was pretty sweat free. But yeah, we got hooked on that half unit loss. So a little bit unlucky there, I would say. If Brandon Saad, Tage Thompson, and Clayton Keller just had one more shot each, they all ended up with just one. We're probably looking at a 5-1 night, but we ended up 3-3 instead. That is how she goes, and we move on to the next one. So the overall record now is 85-85, and we are currently at minus 4.99 units. And with that bet recap out of the way, let's get into the best bets. And we're starting off with the 6-3-3 LA Kings visiting the 4-6-1 Predators in Nashville. The puck drop is at 8 p.m. Eastern. And last year, these two teams played head-to-head 3 times, with the Predators taking 2 out of the 3 matchups. The goaltending matchup for this game should be Darcy Kemper versus Saros. And a couple things to note here. The road team has actually won each game between these two teams last year, and the under has hit in 2 out of the 3 games, with only one game being a push at exactly 6 goals. And in the last 5 games, like if we're dating back a few years, Nashville has beat the Kings in 4 out of 5 games. But as we know, the teams look a lot differently this year, with the Preds basically signing the entire free agent class. But despite that, I'm backing the Kings here on the road for a few reasons, and that's just based on the advanced metrics. So let's take a look at the numbers here for this season. The Preds have scored 12 goals all year. That's it. And their expected goals scored is actually 22.68. So they're either getting unlucky or they just haven't been finishing their chances. But regardless, they should have about 10 more goals scored than what they actually do. And then the Kings, on the other hand, they've scored 28 goals this year, and their expected goals scored is 25.75. So it's lining up just about where they should be. They're basically scoring maybe a few more goals than what they deserve, but much more ballpark than what Nashville is showing us. So 2 things that I want to keep in mind here. The Kings' expected goal scored is 3 goals higher than Nashville, and the Kings' actual goal scored is 16 goals more than Nashville. So not only are the Kings creating more chances and scoring opportunities than the Preds, but they're actually putting them away like they're supposed to. And then defensively, the Kings have been scored on 22 times this year, but their expected goals against is 19.25. So just like how the Kings are offensively, defensively they've given up maybe 2-3 goals more than what they should have based on their performance. But again, it's right around ballpark. It checks out. But on the Nashville side, they've given up 28 goals against this year, and their expected goals against is only 20. So the teams have basically the same expected goals against. The only difference is the Kings are doing a better job at actually keeping the pucks out relative to what their performance deserves. Whereas Nashville's advanced metrics show us that they are just a total disaster on both ends of the ice right now. Whether it's a systematic thing, whether it's the new players that just haven't been able to gel together so far, whatever it may be, they are doing enough offensively to create those chances, but they're not scoring, and they're also doing enough defensively to keep pucks out of the net, but they're getting scored on a lot. So could Nashville suddenly turn things around on both ends of the ice and win this game? Sure, I mean, it's hockey. Anything can happen. They could get the job done against the team on the road here. But give me the Kings money line, half a unit, despite them being the road team. We saw that trend last year where the road team just took all three games between these two teams head to head last year. So I like that plus number. We're getting it at plus 116 on FanDuel right now for their money line, just straight up. And in terms of the total, I see that the line is set to 6 right now, which I don't love because in the past we have seen a lot of low scoring games between these two teams. But with the way that the Preds are just leaking goals right now, if I see a decent line at 5.5, I might just play the over. So just keep an eye out on the pinned comments for that because I am recording on Sunday afternoon. So the alternate totals are not quite out yet. But yeah, keep an eye out on the pinned comments to see if we finalize that. But for now, we'll just take the road Kings money line, half a unit at plus 116 on FanDuel. And for the last game of the night, we've got the 7-5-2 New Jersey Devils visiting the 5-5-1 Edmonton Oilers. These two teams played twice against each other last year, and the Oilers actually took both of the games, so they swept the head to head. They won 4-1 in Edmonton and 6-3 in New Jersey. So the over had hit once and the under also hit once. Edmonton here will be on a back-to-back, so they're taking on the Flames on Sunday night in Calgary. It looks like Stuart Skinner is going to be starting and taking the net for Edmonton on Sunday night. So the expected goaltending matchup for this Monday night matchup is Markstrom versus Calvin Pickard. And if you haven't heard already, a big injury impacting this game is Connor McDavid. He is out with an ankle injury for a few weeks. But the Oilers, they did play their first game without him, and they absolutely smashed Nashville the other night, so there is that. But in terms of this game, my favorite play here is the alternate over of 6 goals at minus 130 on FanDuel. And, the reason I like this play is because this number has hit in 5 of the last 6 head-to-head matchups between these two teams. Historically, if we span back a few years, regardless of who is in goal or who is on what team, these two teams have been playing like 7, 8 goal games. And, the Devils, they did see Calvin Pickard last year, and they scored 3 goals on him, which I like to see quite a bit if I'm taking the over of 6. And a few other things that I think back up this number here. New Jersey is the 5th best team in the NHL in terms of the goals scored. They have got 30 goals scored already. And the advanced metrics tell us that that's exactly where they should be. Their expected goals scored is 30.38, and that's second best in the league. Now we got to keep in mind that New Jersey did start a little bit earlier than the rest of the teams, so those extra 1 or 2 games overseas in Europe may be inflating those numbers slightly. But the main takeaway here is that the Devils are a pretty high scoring, potent offense this year. And on the Oilers side, they got the Pred syndrome. They got Nashville syndrome. The Oilers are 3rd best in the league, just behind New Jersey, in terms of their expected goals scored. They're sitting at 28.88, but they actually only have 19 goals scored. So again, a bit like Nashville, they're either getting super unlucky or they're just not finishing well enough. And honestly, if the Oilers, if they were putting away pucks like normal, if they were closer to that metric of 28.88 expected, then I would love the over 6.5 here. But because they are struggling a little bit offensively, I will play a little bit conservative, over 6, half a unit at minus 130 on FanDuel. That way if it ends up like 4-2 or 5-1 or something crazy like that, we just get a push and we don't lose a half unit. But if there are 7 goals, we cash as normal. And that'll do it, guys. Let's do a quick bet recap. So for bet number 1, we are on the Kings money line for half a unit at plus 116 on FanDuel. And for best bet number 2, we have got the Oilers and the Devils over 6 at minus 130 on FanDuel for half a unit as well. And once again, I am recording this video on Sunday afternoon, so the books don't have all the lines out just as of yet. So it is possible that we could get a better line on the over 6, for example, once a book like, Bet365 puts their lines out. And also, the Kings, the Preds, the Oilers and the Devils are fantastic teams for shot parlays. We've got guys like Jonathan Marchessault, Roman Josi, Philip Forsberg, Adrian Kempe, Warren Fogle, Victor Arvidsson, Jack Hughes, Brad. All these guys are in action tomorrow. It's going to be absolutely loaded. So keep an eye out on the pinned comments. There definitely will be a player or two added. I was just looking at a shot parlay here just before recording this video involving Warren Fogle and what's his name? Victor Arvidsson. Both of those combined in a shot parlay. I like those two guys quite a bit. Draisaitl and Arvidsson have picked up a lot of chemistry this year. And with Connor McDavid out, I think Arvidsson's going to put like 4 or 5 pucks towards the net easily. So lots to like. And that'll do it for today, folks. 2 best bets for a mini 2-game slate. Thanks for tuning in if you made it this far into the video. Once again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on this video. Keep an eye out for the pinned comments as we continue to add plays for tomorrow's slate. And we will catch you for the next one.
Ain't no motherfucker in this world could do it like me.